You're listening to the Silver Stoner Show.
Yo, dudes and dudettes, and trans dudes and trans dudettes. It is I, Uncle Herb, the Silver Stoner, pretty stoned, and this is another episode of the Silver Stoner. Okay, and this isn't even the stuff we have in our private. Anyway, we'll get to that later. All right. I hope you're having a wonderful day. The 5 tenets are up on the screen like they always are. I hope you support all the ideas. Remember, those of you joining us for the first time, being a stoner doesn't mean you have to be sunk into a couch with your, brains turned off. Being a stoner means simply that you enjoy your weed in whichever way you choose. And oh, by the way, this results in an open and creative human being who doesn't think in a binary way and has room for everybody. You can have friends that voted for Trump, and you can have friends that voted for Biden, and you can just leave that out of the conversation. I mean, we don't have to hate somebody because they disagree with us. Like, I personally am independent because I don't want to cast my lot and get labeled. But that's the world we live in, but not here. This is the safe place, the Silver Stoner. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about what's new today. This first story. And by the way, I'm here with my co-host and colleague, the ever-lovely Bethany. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you, as always.
It's amazing.
Well, I'm here to party. All right, so what are we talking about? Oh, so Bethany and I were just talking about this before we went on the air. I wanted to make sure she'd looked at this picture. The only reason I'm sharing this story of Jeff Bezos being on his own flight to orbit on his Blue Origin rocket is, tell me, that thing doesn't look like a flying dildo. I mean, am I the only? This picture was in a serious story, Techmastery. I'm just throwing it out there. This was a serious story.
Yeah. Did
no one catch that when they put that picture up on? This is the picture that they sent out. This is the publicity picture from Blue Origins. Here's our founder Jeff Bezos with our flying dildo behind. Did no one see that looks like a giant penis?
It doesn't look like a rocket. Not a normal rocket.
Just saying.
I think it looks like a vibrator.
Well, exactly. I mean, dildo, penis, take it, real thing, fake. I guess because it is fake, you would have to go with the vibrator.
The Blue Origin.
Well, it's very specific to like a vibrator if you look at it, like the top of it.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
No. Now I'm going to go right. Okay, so I have to just share this with you. We're going to do this later in the Too High segment, but I'm going to do it right now because you don't have to be high to enjoy this. I rate movies, comedy movies. I just wanted to share this with you guys. Snicker, chuckle, chortle, guffaw. Okay? A snicker is one of those movies where someone tells you it's funny, and you watch it, and you kind of get, but it never really brings you to laughter. It's like mildly amusing. That's how most comedies are. But they almost try too hard, so they're not really that funny. Then there's the chuckle, which is, it's pretty funny. It gets a few laughs out of you in the course of the movie, but most of the time you're still at the snicker stage, if that. Okay, that's a chuckle. Then there's the chortle, which is a very good movie, pretty funny. Sometimes you get a chortle with occasional guffaws. Like, I'll use a specific movie. The 40-Year-Old Virgin was a chortle with occasional guffaws. Mm-hmm. Like when they ripped the hair off his chest, the first time I saw it, I have actually had that experience in real life. Oh. You've heard of Sasquatch. I am Jew Squatch. I'm just sharing that with you. I have actually been to the waxer and tried that, and it feels exactly like that. And by the way, they didn't fake that shot. They really did that to Steve Carell.
I know. I read about that.
Yeah, for real. So I felt his pain. That was a guffaw in a movie that was otherwise a chortle. But every now and then, you get to a movie that's a guffaw. And a guffaw is a movie where you start laughing so hard you can't breathe from the very beginning, and it just never stops coming. And these are very rare movies, right? But on that list is Private Parts. And Private Parts is the autobiographical, semi-documentary, starring the real people in most roles of Howard Stern's life from childhood to becoming Howard Stern, as we understand him. And it's the book, by the way, which I had read, is just a nice short book. It's really funny. He's a good writer. Or whoever wrote it for him. But regardless, it was funny. But the movie, which he stars in, guffaw. Guffaw.
I'll have to watch it.
But in the movie, one of the scenes was, and this is the whole reason I went to this whole fucking story, when you started going into the description of the dildo, was he learned early in his career that the key to high ratings was lesbians. And asking them sexual questions like, tell me about your first lesbian experience. You know? So as you were sitting there describing well, anyway, it just my imagination. Never mind. I'm not inappropriate. I'm not inappropriate.
You weren't. There was nothing said inappropriate.
Okay, and I apologize to any microaggression I just committed, but I don't think so.
No.
But that was a long story to get to that. But that was, anyway, let's move along. That was the end of that story. Okay, giant flying dildo. Some people think that Jeff Bezos could be described as a giant flying dildo. So, by the way, that's not my opinion. I've never met him, so I have no opinion at all. But, whatever. I'm hoping he's a stoner because he's got to live a stressful life. That's all would you get on, just by the way, as an aside, he is going on his first flight, okay, as a passenger. Would you do that? On the first one?
No, not the first one.
Fuck that. Send up Jeff Bezos. You go ahead. That reminds me of another Guffaw movie. Did you ever see, what was it? It was a Mel Brooks movie. Was it The History of the World Part 2 where the black regiment in the Civil War is always at the front?
Mel Brooks. I love Mel Brooks.
And like Slim Pickens, just send in the N-words. They could never make that movie today. But anyway.
You're absolutely right on that.
Blazing Saddles, by the way, is a guffaw. One of the great high movies ever that will never be remade. Never.
Don't say that. Then they're going to remake it because you said that.
It'll be like when they redid Ghostbusters this last year. Did they ruin that fucking movie?
They ruined it. And I'm a woman and I'm saying that.
Yeah.
And they ruined it.
It's terrible.
It would have been one thing if they wrote it to be a comedy who happened to have women in it, but they made such a they tried to teach you a lesson while entertaining you. You can't do both.
Can't they just take those actresses and make them, put them in something else? Do they have to remake movies?
Well, they've been in funny movies.
Are they really out of ideas?
They've been in good movies. Like, what was the one that...
No, I'm saying
the one about,
these actresses.
About the Bridesmaids. Bridesmaids was an original funny movie starring women. Really funny.
Yeah.
I would have made that one a chortle with an occasional guffaw.
That one's funny. That one's funny.
Yeah, that's a good movie. You're right, though. But if they make Bridesmaids 2, I'm going to vomit.
No.
But they probably will.
They probably.
But it won't be the original writer that
Actually,
does it.
I think they have. I'm not going to lie
Did they make
to
that?
you.
Is there a Bridesmaids 2? Oh, tell me there isn't a Bridesmaids 2.
I'll check.
I think that I don't think it's called Bridesmaid 2, but I
please,
do
please,
believe
Jesus,
that there is a sequel.
Please, Jesus, I'll accept you in my life if you just
No.
if you just don't make a Bridesmaids 2, please, sir, please.
How do we feel about Shrek? Do you think they overdid it?
Shrek?
Yeah.
Whoa, yeah, way overdid it. I mean, And by the way, I love Shrek.
I love Shrek, but that's why it's like I haven't seen the last few. I just feel like they overdid it.
Cameron Diaz retired from acting in the midst of all of this. I mean, it's like it's like she knew when it was time to throw in the towel. Why not just throw in the towel on the whole thing? And Mike Myers, his funny days are over.
Money.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure Mikey is cashing in. God bless him. I think he's a funny guy, but. Enough is enough already.
Yeah.
My theory is, and I've shared this before, but before you joined the show, I shared this opinion. I'm going to reshare it. I think the reason that there's a complete lack of creativity today is that millennials and younger didn't grow up reading like we did. I grew up in a world where there was very few television programs. They literally turned off the TV. At midnight, they went off the air. There used to be the test pattern. After Johnny Carson went off, up came the test pattern. Your life didn't revolve around, there were no video games. There was no social media. There were no cell phones. So we had to entertain ourselves. And one of the things we did to entertain ourselves was always a good book. Everyone I knew read. And so you read, you didn't necessarily have to read like the great works of literature. You could read whatever you want, but I don't care if you're reading like Field and Stream magazine. If you read a lot, you start to pick up little things that are life lessons mixed in with all the things, right?
I think millennials did grow up reading a lot more than Gen Z did, though, because
for sure.
I personally was a little bookworm when I grew up, and
My kids
so were
did
a lot
too.
of my
So,
friends.
Yeah, so that was really unfair of me because my kids are millennials.
And a lot of my millennial friends to this day are still bookworms.
We were the nerd family that showed up at the bookstore. Where's my grinder? Okay, so we're. This is here we go. Okay, let me hold it up to my own camera. You get I got to get focused. Here we go. This is my Harry Potter grinder, my personal grinder. Okay, I brought it to the studio today because we're going to party, after. But anyway, having said all of those things, we were the nerd family that when each new book of the Harry Potter series would come out, we'd be the ones standing in line at the bookstore at midnight for the special, just for the nutcases, dressed in our hair, and daddy and son in our glasses, and we would literally draw little,
Same. That was my childhood. Like,
yeah, right there.
me and my friends grew up dressing like Harry Potter and waiting for the books and going to the events. And
What's the first book you ever read?
the first book I ever read,
Yeah.
if I can remember that. Oh, no.
I don't remember. I can remember Charlotte's Web. Charlotte's Web.
Wow, you remember that.
Charlotte's Web. Yeah, and my favorite author as a kid was William Saroyan. I don't know why, but I love
favorite book
those
I
Armenian
remember.
stories.
I remember being my favorite book when I was a kid, when I was really little, was the Spiderwick Chronicles.
Really, those were great books. My kids read those.
Yeah.
Then as they got older, it's interesting. Julian, who's still my older kids, because their mom didn't really support the reading effort, are less readers than my younger two kids. Because my second wife grew up. She used to tell me how she used to sit in the tree in Iowa. I just get a mental picture of this, wearing her cat's eye glasses and her little cutoff shorts, and she's barefoot. And she goes to the library. She used to get butterflies going to the library, and she would borrow the library books and then run home and climb up the tree and sit on the branch, dangling one leg. Can you kind of get this? It's like right out of a Midwestern Iowa painting, reading books. So we were a real reedy group on the second time around. And you got to make it part of your life. But it makes you have an imagination is the whole point of it.
It honestly makes your mind grow.
Well, you have to picture it in your mind, right?
Yeah.
And this is what's lacking, right? If everything is spoon-fed to you, like the other day when we were doing the promotional video on the giveaway of the PS5, which is great. I'm glad we're going to give away the PS5. But, the games are so graphic, what's left to imagine? I mean, it's like you're in that world. It's a wonderful imaginary world, but it's not the one that you imagined. It was imagined by the developer of the game, right? Who also grew up watching the same game, so they become derivative of each other. There's demon this and dragon
But that was someone's imagination. Those games, that was somebody's mind. That was those people, that's their art. So
I agree that's
you're appreciating it every time you play the video game.
I totally
and it
agree with
sucks
that.
you in too.
But you got to make some time to work your own imagination.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that.
Life is about balance. I think it's like game for hours, but cut an hour out of your day and read a little bit. Okay, we're going to move on to the next story. Okay, we definitely digressed the shit out of that one. Moving on, in keeping with entertainment, Kim Jong-un hates K-pop. Now, I got to be honest with you, I've never listened to K-pop.
He doesn't like any music.
Well, he really doesn't like this shit. He calls it, are you ready? A vicious cancer, and anyone promoting it should get 15 years hard labor. Someone needs to go over there and not necessarily assassinate this man, but shove a cannabis suppository up his ass. This man needs to smoke weed more than anybody I have ever heard of. How could you? Okay, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big fan. Don't hate me for this. Do not hate me for this. I'm not a big fan of country music. There's some of it that I really like. It's just not my favorite genre. Okay?
I appreciate you so much right now.
Is that good?
I despise country music.
I don't despise it. I hear some that I think is okay.
Well, I just grew up where it was my family was super revolved around country music. And
Growing up in Prescott Valley, Arizona,
I just can't.
I'm shocked that you don't love it. I really, anyway, but I wouldn't hate you over liking it. If you just told me right now, I love country music, I'd go, somewhere in there we could probably find something we could listen to together. I mean, but I don't know, 15 years hard labor, fuck you. Anyway,
He doesn't allow any type of music in North Korea. really.
I think they have that patriotic shit that they.
And did you know that he only he picks the TV shows that are played in North Korea, and there's only one, and he chooses it, and he forces people to exercise,
which he could desperately use.
I was reading about him after you sent me the script last night, and I was like, how could you not like music like that?
I really don't understand Kim Jong-un. But then on the other hand, if you ask who's he's afraid of his own people. That's who he's afraid of. If they get out of hand for 30 seconds, he's a dead man walking, and he knows it. I know they can all pretend that they love the great leader, but privately they're thinking, fuck this. And they have to be aware that in the South Korea is one of the 5 richest countries in the world. North Korea is the second poorest before Haiti. Okay.
And it sounds like they're
on the same
poor
peninsula.
in culture too.
Well, they're on the same. They're exactly the same people. It's just a political division. Anyway, one day that's going to be the end of that. But we're not here to talk. My stomach. Shut the fuck up.
It has an opinion today.
Shut the fuck up. I'm not even hungry. I don't understand it. I got up this morning and I made. What did I have? I had eggs, a bagel, and smeared with Philadelphia lox.
You're making me hungry, though. I just had cereal. What the heck?
And I always fry an egg for my dog. So Pepper had her over easy. She likes it. She likes the dippy to run all over her food.
I feel like I go all out for my kid. I make him the crazy good breakfast, and then I do it for my dog. Scarf down whatever I can.
Well, live and learn. Okay, on to the next one. So I only bring up this story. This is a very serious story. So, the cops, if you're arrested for a minor drug crime in most states, including the one I'm sitting in Arizona, just some minor, you have too much weed under the obscure, this much weed is okay, this much weed is not okay law. The cop looks in the backseat of your car and he, concocts some reason that he has a right to go into your car without your permission. By the way, I want to refer to this. We had as an earlier guest on the show, a marijuana attorney named Tom Dean. Tom Dean, he practices here in Phoenix. He publishes a checklist you should carry with you in your car. What does he call it, Tech Mastery? The glove box pocket
attorney, glove box attorney.
Glove box attorney. You can download this from his site, Tom Dean, DEAN. He's a practicing attorney here in Phoenix, so you can get him online anywhere in the country. Of how to handle your encounter with the police when they want to go into your car and search, okay? Or they want to make you take tests about driving under the influence and so on and so forth of weed. This is about weed, not how to get off if you're a drunk, okay? So, but probably it applies both ways, but that's neither here nor there. I realize we're in the middle of a completely different discussion, but I just wanted to bring that up. And as everyone should carry this in their, I don't know, everyone drives high sometimes.
That sounds like a song.
Well, I was going to write into it. Everybody loves somebody. Again, everybody drives some real high someday. Anyway, who sang that? Dean Martin. All right. Wasn't that?
Couldn't tell you.
I don't know. Dino Martino was his real name. He was Italian. He changed his name to Dean Martin.
I'm going to make it into a song.
Everybody drives somebody.
Everybody drives high sometimes.
I think you should make it into a song because you're actually talented at this stuff.
That's what I was saying. I'll make it into a song.
You could collaborate with my daughter, and the two of you could do something really cool. All right, where were we? Oh, so you get arrested because they're still enforcing pot laws. Sadly, they still are enforcing weed laws, particularly the feds and the DEA and all that kind of shit. So you get grabbed. They can seize all your assets. So even though it turns out that it was for personal use and the judge uses his common sense or her common sense and they give you a slap on the wrist and they say go home, which is what happened to the kid in this story, and they seized his Land Rover 8 years ago, his one piece of property. And you can imagine this kid put his life into this Land Rover. So he's been trying to get it back for 8 years, and it was over a slap on the wrist pot thing. I looked it up. We did a little background research. It was nothing. He didn't do any prison time. Everything was groovy cool. And he just got it back after 8 years, and thank God, because this will set a legal precedent. The Illinois Supreme Court said, fuck that. You got to use common sense. You can't just seize somebody's entire net worth over minor crimes. A little proportionality would help. No shit. Fourth Amendment, right to privacy, that sort of thing. Again, go to Tom Dean's link. We should put it in the description for the show for sure. Techmaster.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll put it in the description and get the glove box attorney and carry it around with you and protect yourself, because believe me, as someone who has spent some time as a guest of this state, they will manipulate and lie to put you away. They will. I'm not saying they did for me. I'm just saying they will. Okay? And all I'm saying is protect yourself. Don't go in there like it's on TV, and the first thing you do is shut the fuck up. Okay? I can tell you, number 1 on the list is shut the fuck up. Okay.
Zoop.
Politely. Number 2 on the list, I don't know if it's really on the list, but should be politely. Okay? Like the time to fight with the police is in court, not out in the street. They have guns, you don't.
Just be respectful.
Yeah, that's all.
Your mother's raised you better.
Don't die over some weed, man. Okay? I mean, like, there's no amount of weed worth dying over, right?
Nope.
Okay. And and I can speak from experience, prison is not worse than death. It's not. Okay? So, like, chill the fuck out. Okay. On to the next story. I'm going to go on to something. I got so excited about this next story, I could just shit. So.
Sorry. Please.
Well, it's the perfect setup for the story. This is the Bristol poop chart. This is the scientific chart. I shit you not.
That was.
Of what your poop should look like. I'll save you guys time. You guys, the link will be in the story, blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing. It's type 3 or 4 that you're shooting for. Mm-hmm. Okay, which is I want to make sure I get this right. You either want your sausage with cracks or your smooth snake.
Yeah.
Lately, because I've been ingesting peaches like they're candy, I've been on the smooth snake. Personally, I'm a type 4.
Peaches. I have been making myself a smoothie every day I get home.
Oh,
like,
my
smoothie
God.
sounds so good right now.
Oh, my God. I had a nectarine last night that was pure orgasm. I swear to God. It was a white nectarine, which is sweeter to begin with. It was a mouthgasm. I took a bite and I literally went, oh! It was just that good.
I love nectarines. And a funny story.
Favorite. When they're good, they're my favorite.
About nectarines is I grew up on a ranch, and my mom has orchard fruit trees. She has a bunch of nectarine trees, but they're scarred for some reason. So all the nectarines come out looking like little aliens. Like, they don't look like they're good.
But they're delicious.
They taste like the best nectarines I've ever had. So every time I see a nectarine in the store that has a scar on it, I'll get it. And it tastes better.
Well, and you know what? That's not your imagination. Now, here comes another one of Uncle Herb's ridiculous trivia that he knows for no fucking good reason. Okay? So, this is, again, because my family's business was produce, fresh produce. Scarred fruit is always sweeter because the scars are exactly like stretch marks on your skin.
Do you know why they...
The sugar exploding within the fruit causes, just like when you get too fat, and we get stretch marks as human beings, when we get too fat, when the fruit gets fat because of sugar bursting within it, it causes the stretch marks on the skin. So the uglier the orange, the better. That's why when you buy by the way, and also when it comes to citrus, the thinner the skin, the better the citrus.
I noticed that.
That's because, and this is why the best citrus comes from Florida in this country and not from California, because Florida's nights are warm all the way through the night. So the fruit ripens all the way through the night, that's why the best orange juice comes from Florida. But you never see the Florida oranges hardly ever for sale in the store because they're all scarred up because of all that sugar exploding within the citrus. Okay, so they sell the California oranges, which have thicker skins because it gets cold at night. So the orange has to develop a thicker skin to protect itself from the cold weather at night. So you get an okay. Its section's nice.
I actually only eat an orange if it's a little fucked up because they don't taste good to me.
Florida and Texas citrus. So, like out here in the West, it's really hard to get Florida citrus. Okay, if you can get Mexican citrus, by the way, if you live in a place where they're importing Mexican citrus, it's also excellent. Because it's warm all the time at night. But generally speaking, they're now importing it from South America too. I shouldn't just say Mexican. From anywhere in Latin America where it's really warm around the equator. Mm-hmm. But basically, no matter where it comes from, the thinner the skin and the more fucked it up it looks. Okay, move on. I'm getting the move on from Eric. All right, I got that. I'm a lot high today. And it's causing me to be redundant.
Don't you feel like, though, fruit just goes with stoners?
I
We
think
just
I've personally
appreciate
helped
it a
millions of
lot
stoners
more.
just now. I hope this gets passed around. You need to share this, and it needs to go viral because I know what the fuck I'm talking about this anyway. All right, where are we going? Oh! This is Gay Pride Month or LBGTQIQ or something like that. There's getting to be... I have now decided to call
It's
it...
Pride Month.
It is Pride Month, but I've decided I can't... There's so many letters now. LGBTQ, I, and then there's a little squiggly thing. I just think we should call it the alphabet movement. There's just too many letters for me as a boomer to remember. I respect them all. I just can't remember them all. So anyway, it's Pride Month, as we all know. And what's great is this is just me sharing the latest Gallup poll came out. 70% of Americans, including, wonderfully enough, the majority of Republicans who would traditionally not be pro-gay, shows you how much the country has moved, are now in favor of gay marriage. Thank goodness for that. See? And I only share this with you because all news doesn't have to be bad, right, guys? I mean, we get so deluged with bad, and you would think that, like, from the social justice warriors and the virtue signalers like to make it seem like everybody hates their particular group, but most people don't. That's the beautiful part. 7 out of 10 people in a blunt, and just because they don't accept gay marriage, by the way, the other 30% doesn't mean they're going to go out and shoot you, right?
I just think those people get more attention because they're bigots. So we focus more on it. But I personally don't know any homophobes. Which it's pretty good.
And what is it? Phobia is first of all, a phobia is a fear. I don't even like the term. I don't like to put phobia.
Well, what do you call it then? When they
bigot?
Bigot, okay.
Okay, I mean, it's such a... I know it says more to say bigoted against homosexuals than saying a homophobe, but a phobia is a fear of it, and I don't think people that are bigoted are afraid of who they hate, generally speaking. I mean,
I don't think they even understand why they dislike it, unless it's for religious reasons.
Speaking as a Jewish guy who's been the subject of anti-Semitism in my life on multiple occasions, I don't think the people that were picking on me were afraid of me. I think they just fucking hated me. Okay, for what I am, what I am and what I cannot separate myself from being. So, it's like, is it a phobia? It's just a bigot. It's just a prejudice. And I guess, I don't know, we simplify things down and words mean things, and I don't know, whatever.
Okay.
But I did see a case. The reason, I just want to bring this up, and I didn't put it in the news. I was thinking about bringing it up tomorrow, actually, but bring it up now. So there's this guy who lost his job. This went all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States because he refused to bake a cake for a gay wedding at a bakery that did cakes for gay weddings. Okay, so there's been a prior case. This is interesting. There's been a prior case where a bakery refused to bake a cake for a gay wedding, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they said they didn't have to bake it because it's a private business and it's a voluntary transaction. And if you don't want to do business with that private business, there's plenty of other bakeries that are happy to take your money. So it's protected under the Fourth Amendment. Now, on the other hand, or the First Amendment actually, but on the other hand, in this case, the private business employment is a voluntary contract. You don't have to work for who you work for, and they don't have to hire you. It's entirely a voluntary union. So they were completely within their rights to fire the employee for not baking the cake, even though the bakery does. In other words, it was completely, you would think it was reversed, but if you think about it, it's consistent.
No.
Did I lose you on that one?
No, I mean,
okay. Anyway.
I don't know why somebody would take that to court. Just go find someone else to make
because
you
everyone's
a cake,
trying to make a fucking statement. That's why. I mean, because most people, what most people would have done when who owned the bakery got fired from that bakery, go work at a different bakery with people that were more in line with his thoughts. This guy had to make a fucking federal case out of it, or maybe some.
He had money.
Maybe the ACLU took the case. I don't know. Move along. Okay, I'm getting the move along signal. By the way, in that same poll, 68% of Americans are in favor of the legalization of pot. So pot and homosexuality go together like peas and carrots. There you go. What was that good? This was only from. This is interesting. So in this next story, the Journal of Substance Abuse and Treatment did a study, and so you would think that this is going to be a quick one, I promise. You would think that all stoners lay on the couch and don't help anybody. Turns out teenagers who are stoners volunteer just as much for community stuff as kids who don't smoke pot.
If not more.
If not more. Exactly. So, don't be afraid, parents. Your kids are not going to grow up to be irresponsible just because they smoke weed, because you do too, you hypocrites. Okay, anyway. Or you're getting drunk and you're telling your kids not to smoke weed when you really should be smoking weed with them because it's so much better for you than that booze you're pouring down your throat. So much better for you.
I concur.
Do you concur? I concur. You concur?
I concur.
Did you ever see that movie? What was the one with Leonardo DiCaprio where he faked being a doctor and all this other shit? Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, okay.
So he learned on TV that's what you do. He would walk into the emergency room. Do you concur, doctor? Yes, doctor, I concur. I concur. You concur? It was just how he covered up. He didn't know shit. Anyway, moving along. Speaking of people that don't know shit, there was a study. Here's now on the other end. When I cite a study by like the Journal of Substance Abuse and Treatment, that's a legitimate journal. But then, okay, I want to go to just briefly, and the only reason I bring this up, CBD. There's a study that came out supposedly that said it's good for nausea, and CBD is. There are things that CBD is clearly good for, like bringing you down from being too high. And there are things that CBD we don't know yet. There's just not been enough research done. We don't really know. But I read this so-called study. There was no MD. There were no MDs, no PhDs. This was just a bunch of people who got together. Who knows? Who had degrees from the University of the Philippines. Or no disrespect to the Philippines. I don't know why I said that. But, some phony baloney online university of mumbo jumbo. Somewhere. And then this gets bantered around and it gets shared and it goes from it could be good for nausea to it is good for nausea, and it just undermines the legitimacy of what could be a really good thing if we don't fuck it up by spreading a bunch of bullshit. So all I'm saying is, the only reason I brought this up is look at when you cite studies, make sure they're not bullshit. I don't know. Okay, last off the news. This is my Seriously Dude Seriously. Have you been here for my Seriously Dude Seriously?
I don't think so.
Okay, this is where I'd simply introduce it and follow it with Seriously Dude Seriously. Here we go. Joe Exotic from prison. This is the asshole with the tigers.
Oh, no, yeah.
Who we're pretty sure he had someone eat his rival, or I don't know what the whole fucking story is. I tried to watch a couple episodes of that. I found it unbearable. But he's in prison for whatever the reason might be that I don't really know. But he's coming out with the line of cannabis edibles in prison.
How?
Seriously, dude. Seriously, dude. Dude. Seriously, dude. Seriously. Dude. All right, and that is the end of what I have to say for today. See, it just sums it up. It's one of those stories where you just don't have to really go into any...
Seriously.
It's beyond... It's one of those things where you just couldn't make it up. Thank you very much for joining us. We will now be going into the content too high for YouTube. If you would like to view that content, be sure to join the Silver Stoner community for the grand total of $4.20 a month. And oh, by the way, you get 14 days for free. And oh, by the way, every 3 months, we're going to give away a PS5 or whatever the current version of the next higher up, PS6, PS7, or whatever gets, switched to, whatever's the hot thing, that's what we'll be giving away every 90 days. And that's the least of it, because once you get into the community, we are just building a place where you can freely express yourself and enjoy things like content too, and a lot more. But anyway, you'll find out when you go there. The link is provided somewhere that Tech Mastery is going to stick it. I don't fucking know, really. But I hope you do, and enjoy yourself, and you'll have a part. Look how much fun we are. And until next time, this is Uncle Herb. Peace out.
You're listening to The Silver Stoner Show.